Welcome to episode 193, Broad Street Hustle, bringing you the Super Bowl LX edition of Broad Street Hustle podcast. But before we get into Super Bowl, we are going to talk a little Sixers that the trade deadline just ended earlier today. And we never did talk about the Eagles and their kind of offensive coordinator change and some more news with the Stoutland. So we'll cover that. Then we'll get into Super Bowl. And then, of course, we have our props. So let's go around the room and see who we have. As always, Jason Sada.
What's up, Tom?
Jason, how's it going? And we got Jimmy the Chalk.
What's up, Thomas?
What's up, Jimmy? And that's it. We were thinking we might have had a guest for Super Bowl. Unfortunately, prior obligations did not allow that. But that's okay. We got the boys that we always have. So we'll jump into it. But before we get into it, I mentioned it last week. Vanina's Pizza has a Super Bowl promotion going on. It's if you order online or you go into a store, just type BS8 for Broad Street Hustle or mention it in the store, and you will get 59% off all orders over $20 in honor of Super Bowl 59. Can't beat that. 59%, almost free. So put BS8.
Is that in honor of last year's Super Bowl?
Oh, is it really 60, the Super Bowl? Dude, I swear to God, I Googled. I said, what Super Bowl number are we? And it said, the first thing came up, said 59. I swear to God.
Yeah, LIX is 59.
I didn't even know that. I didn't look at the numbers because I can't read Roman numerals. I swear to God, I put, what Super Bowl are we in? And it said 59.
So the people at Giovanina must have asked Google the same question to come up with that discount code.
That's true.
It'll be 60% off, which is a cleaner number.
Well, we haven't verified that with the ownership.
I honestly, it's because Google too now does the AI bullshit. In the beginning, they give you all that AI nonsense in the beginning, and it probably got it from the wrong garbage. Technology. I can't wait to listen to Bad Bunny at halftime. I can't wait. It's gonna make me happy. So okay, 60% off of your order if you put BSH in the browse in the coupon or at the store. All right, let's jump into it. So Sixers, we have not talked Sixers. I don't know if we talked Sixers at all this year. We may have breezed over them, but I don't think.
Maybe in the beginning we might have talked a week.
And we're not going to get too into the Sixers, but more as long with kind of some of the moves they did, and maybe touch on an Embiid thing here or there. But the Sixers yesterday traded Jared McCain for a first-round pick from the Houston Rockets. Well, to OKC for a first-round pick of the Houston Rockets and 3 second-round picks. Thought maybe, I was texting with Jason, maybe it was to set up for a bigger deal. Giannis was on there. Milwaukee ultimately decided to keep him. But, now it's looking like maybe they just traded this guy. I know McCain was like, Jason, you said a deeper bench player at this point, but it almost looks like they just did it to stay under this luxury tax and kind of save money, which is not what Sixers fans really want to see right now or deal with. But that's where we're at. And I think they did something. Did they get rid of Gordon or Howard, whoever wanted to Brums? So, and then Barlow, they're going to keep. They're going to take his contract. So, Jason, what do you think about the Sixers here, specifically around the trade deadline and what they did?
Yeah, so I think the trade, the pick they're getting is going to be contingent on whether a pick conveys. So it's like it's convoluted. So it's going to be a first round pick, but it might be Houston's, might be OKC, it might have something to do with. Chalky probably knows the other team is the Clippers is the third.
But
team.
more than likely,
Clippers
it would be
are
a later
somewhere.
first round pick.
It's a first round pick for sure,
but a later. I mean,
I don't think it's not going to be a lottery pick now.
No, it'll be like 20ish, like in the 20s, which is fine to me. Like so, I mean, for me. And I mentioned it to Tommy. I didn't really think they were like the Giannis. That wasn't going to happen. My thought was, listen, McCain played well last year, but he played well on a bad team, scoring points on a bad team. This year, he really didn't have a role. I mean, he was, he's the fourth guard at best on this team. He was deep bench. He wasn't getting into games. Now he was coming off an injury, and the kid's got some talent. I mean, he's just not a fit. So I think what they did was they were, I mean, maybe it had something to do with getting under a cap or whatever. But I think it was more that let's trade this guy at his highest value that we're going to maybe get for him at this point. Let's get our first round pick back because they didn't have a first round pick this year. Let's get one back. Let's get these extra second round picks, and maybe they can maneuver around and move up if they want to, or do what they want with those second round picks, and they could be valuable. But the guy didn't have. He wasn't playing. I mean, Grimes was the third guard, and maybe now they signed Grimes in the offseason. I don't know, but I just think it was that. I just think it's the guy really didn't have a role here anymore, and they just wanted to get some draft capital back.
Chalky.
I think the luxury tax might not have been the driving factor, but it was probably something they had in their mind. But like Jason said, McCain's been playing better the last couple of games. He had a couple really good games, but he's still your fourth guard at this point, behind Maxey, Edgecombe, and Grimes. So they were running into the issue obviously with Barlow and they couldn't keep him on two ways. So they were trying to juggle roster spots. They brought Bassey back. So, Barlow's been a good energy guy, good role player. So having him in the rotation without having to go with G League up and downs is probably a benefit. Now, the question is do they make this move if George doesn't get suspended for 25 games and they have the ability to get under the tax apron? I don't know. We'll never know that for sure, I guess. But if there was any implication, if that's what you think they're doing, they wouldn't have done this a week ago before he got suspended. But one other thing that somebody did mention is, and I don't know if I buy into it, because Oklahoma City doesn't really trade for bad players. The last couple of years, like every deal they make is pretty good. But they've seen him play for parts of 2 seasons now. He was a late or second half of the first round pick, whatever. I think it could be just a matter of selling high. Like you remember when Hinkie was here, drafted Carter Williams, had a great rookie season, wins Rookie of the Year, and by the trade deadline in the second year, he dumped him for a pick. So it's perfectly possible they just don't see McCain as part of any future rotation here, and they're not going to get anything better for him if they don't down the line by holding on to him. And there really wasn't a blockbuster debate. I mean, there was no if the I find it hard to believe that if Milwaukee was really willing to trade Giannis at the deadline, that the Sixers could have put the best possible package together. I just don't see. I don't. They would have had to send out Paul George's contract. Well, who wants that? No.
Well, Bucks would have probably taken it on.
But between picks and players, there's guys you can get in some of the other rumors that were being offered that could be a better player and better picks.
I mean, they were going to give up Edgecombe, though. I mean,
I don't think they would have given up Edgecombe. I don't think they would trade Edgecombe right now. That's the thing. So you're not going to get Giannis with what they'd be willing to give up. It just doesn't.
Well, if they weren't giving up Edgecombe, I mean, obviously you're not getting Giannis.
Yeah, I don't think they would have. But either way, it was kind of surprised, but it you can see the sense behind it. And OKC, Alexander's out for a little while, so they need a little more depth there at guard, and obviously they like him, but.
They have a million picks.
Yeah,
capital wise. So
right.
It's like
it is the Houston pick. I don't know if there's protections on that. Right now it would be the 26th pick in the first round if everything ended as it is, but then they have second round pick, which is the most favorable of 4 possible picks. So there's other stuff around. Would have been actually probably better for them to try and get their first round. I think OKC has the Sixers first round pick this year. So to get that back would have been better because you're most definitely going to have a better first round pick than Houston, but obviously that's more valuable to OKC. But, a little bit surprised, but when you look at it, it makes sense whether you like the logic or not.
Maybe it's just me, but and I could just be speaking out of my what right now, but doesn't it seem like the later first round picks are more relevant now than they used to be? Like you could get a really pretty good player now, like in the 20s, whereas in the past it was, and even in the second round for that matter. But I mean,
honestly, these drafts have been like you're either getting Flag, Wembanyama, or from even 2 to 25 is, You can
Yeah.
get
They're all
anybody.
really-
Yeah.
Right.
It depends
Yeah.
on the year and
Yeah.
anymore. I mean,
You could
I
probably
mean,
get a point guard.
the Sixers got Edgecombe what 3 this year?
3.
But
I
what's the 2
mean,
guys that went ahead of them? Well, Flag, and then who was the other
Uh,
around them?
the
They,
Rutgers kid, but I
well, the
forget his
Harper's
name.
son. Harper's son.
Yeah,
Dylan
Harper's
White.
kid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm saying they're like, and then what? Maxey was
Well, there you
Well,
go,
he was-
Maxey. I mean,
Maxie
yeah.
was like 19 or something, I think.
right.
Or
That's what
whatever.
I'm saying. Like,
was
These
SG
folks-
wasn't SG whatever was he wasn't a super early pick either, right?
He
might
was
have
he was a late
or what.
lottery pick. But is what the Sixers could have the Sixers drafted Bridges and then traded him. You know, that was before SGA. They picked Bridges before SGA, so
but the point of it is like, you could find a pretty good player now. Like,
Yeah, the problem is, I mean, it's not, but it's when especially in the NBA, like you draft like even like a Maxey, it takes them what 4 to 5 years, right? 3 to become like part of a championship, like to really be instrumental if you're trying to win a championship, right? So it's just like the problem with getting picks for the Sixers is it's just restarting.
Embiid's window is
Is gone, yeah. So it's
Yeah.
the new one. So it's so now you
do
have,
they
you
even
have
consider that anymore? Is it like more like the Maxey Edgecombe window more than the Embiid window?
yeah.
that- I mean,
I'm
sure.
just saying, as far as a fan is concerned, it's like it's another not process because they're still relevant while they're playing, but
Here's
it's
the thing.
another. You're just putting for later on. You know
Here's
what I
the
mean?
thing: is anybody beating OKC anyway? Probably not. I mean, maybe like a San Antonio upsets them or something.
No, but if the Sixers were to take the East and play in the finals,
but, yeah.
you would feel, you know what I'm saying? It's just, I think it's because of the Sixers' history, it's now coming back. You don't trust it. You don't trust them. You don't like you see that Joshua Harris cares about the Commanders and not this. So it's like
Yeah.
now they're close to this. They're close to the luxury tax. They trade him. They don't
Yeah.
get, like, you know what I'm saying? It just makes it
Right.
all seem like that.
Here's where I'll defend Harris. Like, he was willing to tear it down, like the Flyers have never been willing to do, and the Flyers will be irrelevant for the next 50 years again. He was willing to tear it down, really take it in on the chin with tickets for what, at least 3 years, 4 years probably.
3, 4, yeah.
You know, to take a shot to build it up. Now, it didn't work because of Ben Simmons went crazy and Embiid's always hurt and all, but at least he was willing to do something like that. So, I don't know. I give them a pass. Like, if we ever have that discussion between Flyers and Sixers, I'll give the Sixers a pass every day of the week over Flyers. So, I'll give them a pass on that. I don't know. Maybe they tried to save money with this trade, but I still think that they try to win. Maybe they don't do it the right way, but they try to win.
I think Tommy's point is a little bit relevant, though. You know, Harris, what they did here, I mean, he didn't buy the Devils until did he have the Devils when he bought the Sixers, or did that
I
come
think
second?
so.
I think that was after.
I thought
So,
I
but
thought he had
I
him
mean, the
already.
Devils were bad too by the time he bought them or early on. But it's like, I mean, he's a venture capitalist, so the idea of you take a distressed asset, you strip it down, and then you either flip it or build it back up and flip it or whatever. And that was the Sixers' mindset. Like I said it, probably both of you guys, but like it was like the first year they started getting good, I was like, they're going to make a push to get good, and then they're going to try to get their own arena because they don't own this. And that's exactly what they did. They didn't win in the end, and then if they would end up the arena, I could have seen them sit on the team, but they're splitting it. Yeah, I mean, the Flyers just never went full throttle into what they needed to do, and they've paid the price for it for the last decade plus at this point. You know,
The thing too is, I mean, not just with the Flyers, the Sixers too, like and it's why the process ultimately probably didn't work for reasons outside of the hink you get. Like, but like at some point you do have to have a draft and get the right guy. Like the Flyers had top 5 picks. They got Nolan Patrick. Now some of it was bad luck. But I'm saying like they had opportunity in certain situations to improve the team without completely stripping it, and they miss on these picks. The Flyers have done it. The Sixers did it. Now Maxey and Edgecombe look like they could play. But throughout the process, Embiid was the only player they got. So like that's part of it too. You gotta
Yeah,
gotta hit
you
on
end up on the wrong side. They were in the playoffs for what, like 15 out of 16 years. The one year they weren't, they end up with Van Riemsdyk instead of Patrick Kane.
Yeah,
And
I know, but also they
know.
got the kid from Colorado went after their draft pick.
Yeah,
The
McCarr
veteran,
instead of
they
they make that. I
there's
mean,
certain
you need to have the right picks in the right draft too. I mean, I was just looking. You're talking like these are only second year guys, but last year's draft, this is the top 10. Richter on Atlanta, Alex Sart, Reed Shepard, Stephen Castle, Holland, Salawan, Donovan
Yeah,
Clingan,
bad
Dillingham,
draft.
Edney. Those guys aren't doing anything for the most part.
Cade's good, but I mean,
I'd have to. I'm getting down to McCain at 16 for a guy that's really that's played anything half decent. I mean, I don't watch every game like I used to, but I mean, like you got no real studs here yet. Whereas
I'm not saying those guys are gonna, but basketball has now it takes time for these guys to find their niche in the league too. They're not going to be superstars probably, but they might become, and who you just named. That's the problem with the NBA draft is you're not usually drafting somebody and a team that's ready to win, and that person's going to really put you over the edge.
See,
Other sports,
not in their first year,
does.
yeah.
There's other sports that it does.
and not to make any more excuses for the Sixers because they kind of got lucky with Embiid because they wanted Wiggins, I think, and I wanted Wiggins too, so I can't say but they got lucky with Embiid, but bad luck with Simmons. He was the best player in that draft, and he just
no, they didn't do anything wrong.
lost
there.
his mind. Bad luck with Fultz because nobody was really in that draft.
Nah, but the Fultz thing looks bad because of Tatum, right?
Tatum, but they were never getting Tatum. Like
Yeah,
they were
right,
never
yeah.
getting Tatum. Boston
Right.
was getting Tatum one way or the other. So they kind of had bad luck because there was nobody else in that draft. So and then I guess the Okafor was bad, but really that was
that was the beginning of the beginning of the process.
So I don't know. I give them more slack than I give the Flyers. I'll just say that. That's all.
All right, well, table that. Let's move on. So we keep going here. All right, we'll quickly touch on the Eagles offense coordinator. I don't even know if we mentioned it, but they wound up going with Mannion, Steve Mannion. Is that his name? Sean Mannion. They want to go Sean Mannion. I gotta be honest with you. I've at least heard of players in the NFL. I don't think he played in the league for like 12 years and I've never heard of him.
I've seen his name. I can't remember hearing him play, but he was a backup. But I do remember I do remember seeing him on the Vikings. I think he played for.
No, I do not. I mean, not that matters. It's just, and they went with him, and then a couple guys. We might have touched on a couple guys they targeted, maybe didn't go with.
Yeah.
And then you had the news with Fangio possibly leaving. Looks like he's staying now. He was reported by Clark, and I think one of the other McLean reported that he's staying last night. And then you get the Stoutland news that comes out. So for 13 years, he's been the best offensive line coach in football. Was the run game coordinator, and he's out we could talk about for reasons whether you blame the organization. It was time for him to go. They're going in different. There's so many different options. I don't have as much problem as people are like up in arms about, but yeah, everything's on the table. Jason, your thoughts on Eagles offense coordinator and some other changes?
So for me, like their MO the cycle has been for the last, I don't know how many years. They get an established guy. He does a good job. He gets another job or leaves or whatever. They go with an unestablished guy who fails, and then they go with an established guy again. So to me, like you can't tell me that this guy was their first choice. I'm sorry. I just don't think he was their first choice.
The only thing I'll say, and I'll let you, is that they've gone with the non-established guys have been within their organization though. Keep that in mind.
Yeah.
This is the first time they're getting a non-established guy outside their organization.
True. But I still think that they wanted one of these guys who, for whatever reason, we all have our ideas why, but didn't want to come here. So I don't think it was their first choice. I can't say one way or the other if this, how this guy's going to do. It's going to be his first time doing it. Stalin leaving, sounds like there was a lot of factors that were taking away some of his responsibilities, which he didn't like. He may not have liked working under a guy who's not established. That might be another reason. I don't know. Maybe he's seen that, the two Hall of Famers that he has coached, one's obviously gone, and one has one foot out the door. He hasn't even said if he's coming back next year yet. So I don't know. There's probably a bunch of reasons why he left, but I don't think it's good.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I have with the Stoutland stuff is I think that I've read some or heard something that some of it was they made changes to the run game
Yeah.
this year without him knowing it, not knowing it, but like against, I guess, what his thought process was. And then he got pissed off, and he's the one that said, I don't want to be the run game coordinator. And, like kind of took his name out of it. We don't know. We don't know what's true. But I can see that. I can see him being kind of pissed off about it. He didn't want to attach his name to the slop that was on the field anymore. Possibly part of it. But I do think there's something about the guy. He's been here for 13 years. Like, there's no. I mean, John Harbaugh was the head coach for whatever, how many years he's gone. Tomlin was the head coach, and like eventually these things, they're not forever, and it's usually after a disaster of a year or two. Just like, I mean, we talked about all year. The Eagles' run game was monumentally unwatchable. Might have been the worst run game I've seen a team ever have. With the amount of times it was just breakdowns in blocking, the running. I mean, like, unbelievable. So maybe it's also the start of this isn't going to work. The new OC comes in. He sees things that his concepts are closer to the Shanahan McVay's, right, that we talked about. He sees concepts in the run game and says, we got to do this, we got to do that. And Stoutland, that's not his style. He don't want to do it.
Yeah.
They weren't going to make him the run game coordinator. He was going to have to learn this guy's kind of philosophy, and which he could have. I mean, the guy knows how to coach, and he just don't want to. And they decided to split. Now, it could be good. It could be bad. It could be the right. Andy Reid leaving the Eagles was good for the Eagles at the time because it was time, and it was good for Andy Reid to go. But I don't know. I mean, I can't say. I have no idea. I do think the team and the offensive line specifically seem to be declining. So it could be the perfect storm of the players are, the offensive line just isn't as strong. Hall of Fame right tackle retires. Now you leave your coach. Your quarterback already has problems. So, I don't know. I'm not as mad about it as some people are, because I think after 13 years, things just do sometimes need to change. And the offense has not been good now for many years. Like it's, and again, you could tie that to Hurts or Sirianni or whatever, but the offense just hasn't been good for many years. Besides, last year's run offense was unbelievable, but the year that passed wasn't. Chalky?
Yeah, I mean, all good things come to an end. The question is, how much did you have left in the tank? Or it's not ideal when you consider, I mean, they're probably just going to be looking at a team that at least will be, a playoff contender next year. If not, I don't know where they'll end up as odds for being a favorite or not. You have to see if they trade A.J. Brown and then what they bring back and all that. But I mean, you mentioned it, but they took the run game coordinator title from him during the season, whether that was because he said, I don't want it anymore, or they wanted to change it, whatever that was. He wasn't going to have it under this coach. He's coached under 3 different coaches that have different styles. So his adaptability, I wouldn't doubt it. But it's been a historic run. I mean, 13 years, he's had a Pro Bowler every season he's been here. And nobody has that kind of, resume as a position coach, as a line coach for sure. He's got Kelsey and Johnson going to the Hall of Fame. Technically, he coached Peters, who will be in the Hall of Fame at some point too. So, he's got a couple of these guys in there. I think where you might end up missing him is, you don't hit a home run every time, but he's kind of been he's weighed in a lot on the draft picks they make on the line. So, they identified Dickerson as he's a college center, bummed up knees, that we can get him in as a guard.
Yeah.
Juergens as a replacement. He coached Becton to his best, career year. Steen didn't have as great of a year, but so being able to get the most out of these guys and get, I was reading somebody say, like, if the player doesn't want to work hard, like, there's only so much you can do. So it's really on the player to get the most out of themselves. But if you can put them in the right spots to be successful and bring the best out of them, those are the best coaches. And obviously he's been able to do that. Mailata was a rugby player that he turned into an all-pro tackle, So there's a end of the game for everything. Maybe this was it. Maybe it would have been in a couple years a different situation. It's just going to be. It's hard when you have this kind of unprecedented success to say goodbye, and so that's where they're going to take on the chin. And then maybe Johnson does decide to come back now, and so now you're lining up for next year. Thought, well, we'll run it back with a couple tweaks and see how we do. Now your right tackle's gone, maybe. So there's going to be immediate and long-term effects, but I would say it's not the end of the world, but it's not something you would want to have happen in this offseason.
I just feel that, and I'm not saying they should have, but the Eagles this season were not good, and everybody blamed the offense coordinator, but the run game was horrendous. The offensive line was not good. He controlled that side of he was it's almost this. It's the same thing with Hurts. When the team performs well, Hurts gets the credit. The offensive line's doing well. But when they perform bad, it's everybody else's fault.
The coordinator, yeah. Coordinator's
I
fault.
mean, so why we just gave Stoutland a pass for this year because of his history, which I understand. And I'm not saying the result should have been he leaves the team, but what I'm saying is they were terrible. Their offensive line, every single player on that offensive line took a step back this year. Every single one. Juergens and Chalky, you said he had a Pro Bowl guy. Juergens is in the Pro Bowl. He's awful. He was awful this year.
Juergens made the Pro Bowl?
Yeah.
Juergens made the Pro Bowl.
Oh, that's a non.
So that Pro Bowl stat,
Oh,
I can
right.
that's nonsense, the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
All Pro is different. Pro Bowl is nonsense. So, I mean, so he has to take some culpability in this. And maybe it seemed like he kind of was and that's the stuff we don't know between how it went down. But they said to him, they might have said, hey, we're going to make changes. Like the offense was bad this year. The offense line, we want to change this. The game's evolving. This is happening. And he, so I don't think I have that much of a problem with it. It's not a good thing. I just think that, I don't know. Sometimes change can be good, especially on a team that the offense has not been good for years now. They just haven't.
It'll be interesting to see because I'm almost positive he's going somewhere else. Somebody will
I would
hire
think
him.
so.
We'll
Yeah,
see
I
what
would think so.
happens with that line.
Yeah, I would think so.
I think Mike even mentioned it. I saw on.
I think he's going to go to a Harbaugh, like a coach like that too.
Yeah.
I can see.
The thing is, he'd have to get made offensive coordinator because he's still got a year on his contract here, and he can only, unless they let him go.
Oh, is that right?
He can't leave just to go for another position, so it has to be a promotion. Of sorts.
Yeah, unless we give him permission.
Yeah, I mean, and they could say, yeah, go do whatever, but
yeah, I feel like at this point he already said he's leaving. I mean, I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it'll be spiteful, but
or they'll give maybe if they give him one other job, you Gatorade guy as your second.
No, I don't think. I think it has to be. I think Chucky's right. I think it
has to be some sort of So I don't know where offensive line coach, run game coordinator, if the only promotion is offensive coordinator,
he was also an assistant. He was assistant head coach as well.
Yeah.
So
I think I don't know if it would be the Giants, right? Because the Giants, they have Nagy as their offensive coordinator, so it wouldn't be a promotion for him up there. But if there's a team, let's just say Rams, right? Rams just lost LaFleur. If McVay's going to be I'm calling the plays, I'll make you offensive coordinator and title, but I'm still calling the plays no matter who's here. That would be a promotion. and he could get that.
Or
So
Shanahan.
that's probably the most likely
Yeah.
place if he was going to go somewhere. That would be where he would get that, because you're not going to bring him in to call plays. So you're going to need a
Right,
head coach that does that.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to Super Bowl 60. Super Bowl 60. We'll do props after both. Super Bowl 60. Oh God, you know what? I didn't even write the line down. So it's 4.5. I don't know what the juice is in
45
over
and a
under 45.5. So Seattle is a 4.5 point favorite. Me and Jason were kind of talking to everybody and their mother in anecdote when you just talk to people. Seattle. You look at some of the Vegas insider stuff, like where we track kind of lines, whatever. It's starting to come back to the middle. I mean, I think it was in the 70% the money the public was on Seattle. It's in the 60s now. I read a tweet that said 90% of Super Bowl action doesn't happen till like Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. So you might see drastic public movement, etc. I don't think the line's really gonna move if it hasn't as of yet. But we'll see at kickoff, 4.5. Jason, break it down for us.
I'll go over some key points that we're going to see in the game. I think Seattle wants to run the ball, right? I think that's what their MO is really. New England is very good against the run, especially Milton Williams, who, I mean, I'll be the first to admit I undervalued him with the Eagles last year. He's like, his stats against the run this year are just like sick. Like basically when he's on the field, they're the top run defense in the league. And when he's not, they're like way down. It's crazy.
You know what, something I saw that also in the Super Bowl against the Chiefs, Milton Williams was double teamed like 50-something% of the run plays, where we just assumed it was Carter, right? But it was actually Milton Williams who got the double more than, which
And
I
guess
was
what?
shocked.
Is he the reason Carter was so good and not the other way around? Like we thought Carter,
crazy, huh?
was the reason Milton Williams is so good. So I don't know. Anyway, I mean, that's something, you'll see. And then I hear everybody talking about Gonzalez versus JSN as the matchup. I don't think New England uses him as like a move around the field just to cover one guy, like cornerback. So you might see that sometimes, but I don't think that's like the match. That's the matchup everybody wants to see and talks about, but I don't think that's going to be that relevant. One thing I noticed about Seattle's offense, which I think is innovative, I don't know who else does it. I mean, I guess you do it with backs, but when they put JSN in the backfield and he comes out of the backfield, he's almost impossible to stop because like, what are you gonna do to cover him? Like he's gonna kill a linebacker. You can't put a linebacker on him. Like that's insanely hard to scheme against when he comes out of the backfield. And he don't do it a lot, but if he does it 5 times a game, I think like it's a major matchup issue. So I think you'll see that. Listen, you just look at the two teams and who in their right mind could think that Seattle's not supposed to blow them out in this game? I just think it looks too easy. Why is the line staying at 4.5 if Seattle's going to blow them out and everybody thinks Seattle's going to blow them out? And then I have the secret weapon that I was able to listen to today.
Oh.
The tank mush himself, Mike Francesa, thinks Seattle's winning by 10 points. So all that being said, I think Seattle wins, but I think they win by a field goal, 23-20.
Chalky?
Well, as I think I said to this group before the championship games, Francesa said that Denver was winning, but that whoever won the NFC was going to blow out the AFC team. So I said, well, at that point, but the New England future now, or whatever.
Yeah, you did.
So I don't want to say this is the Super Bowl I've cared the least about in I don't know how many years, but it kind of is. There's no, I mean, even the ones where the Eagles haven't been in the last couple of years. It was, one of the Stars League was in it. All right. So you had Mahomes twice against the 49ers. You had Mahomes versus Brady. You had Brady. There's been, some sort of star element to the game plus whatever. I mean, you don't have that yet. Now, May could be future best quarterback in the league. Who knows? Darnold's got a great story, but as a casual fan, not really much there. As a bettor, I think there are some opportunities, as we'll talk about. But I'm kind of like Jason. It seems too easy, and I can't go as far as to say New England's going to win. But at 4.5, I would bet them to cover and lose by a field goal. Whether that's a backdoor cover or not, I don't know. But I'm not feeling a blowout right now because everybody else is.
I mean, the game could be played and not be a blowout, and they still cover a 4.5 point spread. I mean,
Yeah,
they can win by 7 points. It's not a blowout. I mean, Chuck, you were afraid to say this is one of the least excited you've been for a show. I mean, I really can care less about it. I'm like struggling to care about this Super Bowl. I thought the whole season was kind of garbage in the NFL this year. And then these two teams in the league, like, I don't know. Did New England been in the Super Bowl? It's comical to me. I mean, they played 9 teams that fired their coaches here. We talked about against 500.
Yeah.
The playoffs, they've looked awful in the playoffs. I mean, we've been saying it and they've been winning, which is, why they're in the Super Bowl. So I'm not turning. I'm not going to change my mind. I agree. It's as if you're handicapping the line and you're handicapping the public money, you got to say New England. But to pull a meeker, sometimes Vegas isn't right. Maybe. I mean, there's a lot of Super Bowls where, I don't think the public is as strong in the Super Bowl because, honest to God, I don't know if it even matters who wins the game for the books anymore. There's so many parlays. There's so many props. They're going to make more money on that garbage than they do on anything. So, I don't think it matters all that much. They're still going to protect themselves how they do, but just don't know if it matters as much. So I have Seattle. I mean, I do have a spread 23-17. New England's offense has been terrible. They played in bad weather throughout the playoffs, but their offense has been terrible. May has been bad, not good at all. Seattle kind of has that Eagles feel of last year where they just really figured it out later in the season and kind of just dominated teams. Darnold has answered the bell this year. Still a factor and still could be bad. Nobody's going to walk away from this game if Seattle loses, and it's because Darnold played like Darnold played in the past and be surprised.
But they're still saying he's not 100%.
Really? I mean, they said it last, but he was phenomenal against the Niners.
No.
You know what's crazy? The line opened at 3.5,
and it went up.
I mean, that's really low.
Yeah, I mean, Darnold not. I mean, he's not putting up crazy stats. He's not making mistakes. He hasn't turned the ball over yet, but he's thrown for 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, which is enough.
May is also hurt.
May's
hurt too.
He's hurt too, and he wasn't playing well when he was healthy.
And if you remember, I think we said it on the podcast, or it was either off air. Weren't the pre-lines before the championship game? Weren't the Rams 4.5?
Yes,
was the line, and Seattle was 3.5, but Seattle was favored against the Rams. And remember, it was that weird. So, it's one of those things where I guess Vegas really isn't. I think the public favors Seattle more than the metrics that Vegas uses favor Seattle. Is what it comes down to. Is basically what it comes down to.
Yes.
But I'm still going to go with Seattle 23-17. They're going to cover. I think it's going to be a fairly lousy game. I can, maybe it's just I'm biased at this point, but I think it's going to be kind of fairly boring. A couple trends here, and there's no surprise. The team with the team that has the better playoff seed is now 2-17-2 against the spread. The last 28 Super Bowls, the last 23 years, the underdog is 18-6 against the spread, which is crazy how well the underdog. Now, I will say a lot of those Super Bowls are like a 1 point, a 1 point line, like the Eagles last year, weren't they getting a point or a point and a half or something?
Yeah.
So they're close lines, but they're considered underdogs.
I feel like I bet the underdog in all 6 of those losses because I can't remember the last underdog I had that covered.
trying to
Eagles, I guess,
see.
last year, but
To Jason's point, you said Seattle. You know what? In the last 10 games, they both ran the ball at the same clip of like 51% versus pass, and they both run about it's. I wrote it down here. 1.6 possessions per. I forget what. Basically, they both play a slower type of offense, meaning whistle to next snap. So everything tells you unders in this. Like I don't know how anybody could think overs. Now I'm not saying it's unders hitting, but like you got to be crazy to bet overs in this game.
Yeah.
So I think it's just gonna be. I think it's gonna be kind of sloppy, but New England has played sloppy and won, so that could favor them. But I'll still go with Seattle. Seattle, whatever I said, 23-17. All right, we got about 20 minutes. Anything else on the game? Any other trends that anybody picked up on before we just jump into our props and finish off?
No, I mean the one thing I'll say about props is, depending on how crazy you're going to get with the props, it's going to be hard for Chalky to find them. So like
mine's are very straightforward.
Mine are straightforward, and I have what I think. As of like a couple of hours ago,
I wrote it down about 2 hours ago. So
all right.
yeah.
So I don't know if we want to drive Chalky crazy looking for
Yeah.
stuff. So.
yeah, I'm not going to go crazy.
No, it's just go.
If a number seems outrageous, we'll look it up.
Well,
but.
yeah, if it's John Del Rocca saying Darnold, under 400 yards or something like that, obviously. But
Yeah.
So
yeah. So all right, let's jump into it. So our Super Bowl props are the way it works. We talked about it. You get $100 mythical dollars. You got to make 5 bets. You can spread those 5 bets however you like. I think we set a minimum of $5 on a bet, meaning you could do $4 or $5, and then the last one's gonna be $80, whatever. Or you could just do them even, whatever you want to do. Since we haven't had a super make picks in a couple of weeks, we'll just start over kind of how we do start the season. I think Chalky went first, so we'll just go with Chalky first.
All right, so I'll go in order of my wagers as far as heaviest amount. So 5 wagers. First 3 are all going to be $30 bets. So this will be 90 of my 100, each 30 on the first 3.
okay.
So I am going to put $30 on Rashid Shaheed getting 20 yards rushing minimum. That's plus 423.
Didn't something happen didn't he miss the plane or not be on? Wasn't there something with him? I saw when the team playing, he wasn't on it. Like in the week. Obviously playing.
I missed it if he missed it. So
I have Shaheed in my bets, not this bet. So I hope we.
and that's not his. That's an adjusted number, obviously.
So
at
what
plus
was it again?
423.
I'm sorry.
Shaheed for 20 or more rushing yards.
Over 20, over
20 plus. So call it over 19 and a half if you want to do
over
it that
19 and a half rush. And what is the juice?
way. 423.
Plus 423. Okay.
Kenneth Walker III and Stevenson on New England to each record 5 rushing yards in each quarter. That is plus 450, so $30 on that. Jason mentioned earlier, Gonzalez might not cover JSN the whole game, but he will match up with him a little bit. Kupp has been getting more looks from Darnold over the last couple games, so I'm taking Cooper Kupp over 69 and a half receiving yards. That's plus 513. And just 2 flyers for MVP, which it'll go to the quarterback probably, but they're fun bets, I guess. So $5 each on these 2. DeMarcus Lawrence MVP at 90-1 for Seattle. Leonard Williams MVP Seattle 100-1. $5 each of those. So if they get 2 or 3 sacks with a turnover, if the offense doesn't do much, maybe they luck out. But we know how that usually goes.
All right. Mine's are much more straightforward. So these are, I guess it's 4+. So Cooper Cup receptions 4+. So you say 3.5. Plus 126. These are all $20 bets. 5 bets at 20.
Plus
I didn't put that
326.
Plus 126.
Plus 126. Okay, and this is $20. They're all 20.
All
right?
20.
Okay.
I got AJ Barner touchdown anytime plus 240. I got Stevenson, the running back for New England, 4+ catches, so 3.5 at plus 127.
That's currently 132, so you get a little bit more there.
So say that one again.
Rondé, what's his name?
Ramondre Stevenson.
Yeah, over 3.5 catches.
Over 3.5 receptions. Okay, and that's what, plus 132.
132.
Plus.
Yes, plus 132.
Okay.
All right. I got Drake May, 22+ completions at plus 147. So that's 21.5 over under, I guess you could
Plus
say.
147.
Yep.
Mhm.
And then last is a minus 112. Just took it. Stevenson under 50.5 rushing yards at minus 112. Pretty straightforward.
Yeah. All right. So I have 5, obviously. I'll start with the most. So $35, and this is a boring one. Darnold MVP plus 115, unless that changed.
120.
Plus 120. So chalky, like, and I know you're just taking shots with those. Listen, if Josh Sweat didn't win MVP last year, I mean, come on. Like,
I tell you,
I'm not criticizing your bet. I'm just saying.
That's why I put $5 on it. Like, it's something crazy.
I think I tell this story every year. I know I'm friends with somebody who actually votes in the Super Bowl for MVP.
Yeah.
And I remember the year with Brady. I forget. I mean, now they don't always win, but it was Brady. And his line exactly was, I think he voted. It was either before they announced it or whatever. It was, the New England won. I mean, you always give it to the quarterback unless somebody stands out.
Right.
Meaning the quarterback, you have to beat the quarterback in order to get MVP. And by beat him, you got to have 11 catches. Like, Edelman had that one year or something like that.
So obviously they're just kind of crazy bets, but if it's going to be a lower scoring game, Seattle's got great special teams. They can run a kickback. Darnold may not have as many opportunities. If they get some turnovers, that's what I'm thinking. But it's 100 to 1. It's 100 to 1.
Yeah, I'm just making a point where, like, I don't know how Josh Sweat didn't win MVP last year.
Anyway. No, that's what I said. You're absolutely. It's going to go to the quarterback 9 times out of 10.
Yeah. All right, so Drake May, everybody and their mother likes Drake May's rushing.
Yeah.
I'm going under. Yeah. So I have $20 on him under 37.5 yards rushing at minus 113.
So, okay.
Yeah. Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
My second bet, I'm going under in the first half. I think the whole game's going under. I'm sorry, would you?
Your third pick.
Yep. My second $20 third bet. Yep. This is a $20 bet. My third pick. I'm going first half under, and it should be 22.5 minus 112. I just see them being conservative. I think it's going under the whole game, but I think specifically the first half is going to be.
It's changed. It's 21.5 minus 105.
All right. That's fine. I
mean, 20, probably not going to be 22 unless something goofy happens anyway.
Yeah. And minus 105. Okay. Can't read my chicken scratch. Okay. That's fine. I still think under. Now I'm going to flat out tell you I stole this one. I heard that there's a lot of sharps on Hollins under 2.5 receptions. Mac Hollins. So that's $20 minus 164. And again, it's not a big deal. It's probably hard to find.
Under 2.5 minus 164?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we'll call it that.
Okay. So I have $5 left to spend. I am also taking an MVP shot. I'm going to take it on Rashid Shaheed, and I'll tell you why.
I almost did that, but I didn't like. I thought it was too low to take the shot.
Well, so I got 30-1 on DraftKings, which I didn't bet, but I got 45-1 on FanDuel, which I did bet. There are many ways that Rashid Shaheed can do stuff without the help of the quarterback. He could run a reverse and get a touchdown. He could return a punt and get a touchdown. He could return a kick and get a touchdown. He's explosive. If it's a game where, it's a low-scoring game and Rashid Shaheed, returns a punt for a touchdown and has a big run, I don't know. I think there's a lot of value on him. He's an explosive player, and if I'm taking a shot, I'll throw $5 on him at 45-1. But we're getting 30-1 on DraftKings. But you could get better than that on him.
All right. Yeah, and I was when we were talking, I was saying about how Vegas makes so much on the props and all that stuff. And I saw one when I was like going through it. I think it was on specials. It was first offensive play. Now, I don't know if that meant like of each drive, but it was only 20-1 to be a touchdown. First offensive play to be a touchdown was 20-1.
Yeah, that should be 50-1.
Probably more than that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like just like some of those things that
I heard a couple.
And they'll get actually, they're going to get. It's just like I mean, the coin toss is a perfect example, right? You're giving minus 105 on a 50-50 chance.
I heard a couple of cool bets, which I didn't do, and I don't even know if DraftKings has them, but Vegas has them. So one was longest field goal made versus total score.
Oh, that the field goal is way
field
had
goal,
to be pretty
field goal
minus.
But it's not. Like the odds on it were like very, very. I couldn't find the bet. I looked for it, so it's probably just in Vegas.
I mean, the over/under is 45, so just say they go over 48. So you're basically saying the longest field goal is going to be less than 48. Right. I mean, and it could be 25, but I'm saying, that's crazy.
The bet's a field goal. The other one I heard was Scheffler last round birdies versus total touchdowns in the game.
That should go. I mean, you got to figure he's going to have 5, 6.
Minimum 5, probably 6 or 7.
He didn't play well today. But
so Scheffler, he didn't play well today?
I think he was like 2 over or something.
Oh, really? Maybe he might not even make it then.
I was going to say, what if he doesn't make the cut? Does that...
I guess it's null and void.
I guess it's a 0, or I don't know.
Sunday, it's his Sunday round, total birdies in the round versus total touchdowns.
Yeah, they're always fun. There's some fun. There's a bunch of I was playing even DraftKings against the Olympics. There's like stuff around gold medals.
Yeah.
And all. Yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah,
but again, none of those are good odds. Like if you're taking any of those, your odds like are heavily juiced. Like they're impossible. That's like it. It's literally a rigged system that they can't lose. It's especially because there's so many people with all different spraying all over the place, and none of them are paying the right odds.
Yeah, I mean, like this year, because of the last time they played, they got the Seahawks attempt to pass from on or inside the New England 1-yard line. So they might not do that. I mean, that's plus 5. You can only bet that's plus 550. They might that's not fair odds. There's no that's a fair odds.
No, they might not get the. There might not be.
They might not have that situation. Let alone whatever. The one I if this would have been any kick return, I would have bet it. So they have kickoff return for touchdowns 22-1. I like Shaheed for that. That's what looking for MVP for reasons Jason was saying. If that was punter kickoff, I would have probably put something on that if it was 22-1, which isn't even fair. But
22-1,
it's not fair.
The right odds.
No, it's not. But I would have said, Seattle might run a kickback. Their special teams are
I'm just saying though. That just goes
only for a kickoff. I mean, New England might kick the ball off 2 times all game, 3 times. You don't know. So
that just goes to show you that they can't lose. The odds are just never the right odds.
There's a lot of noise too on Cup maybe throwing a pass. Apparently, either something happened in practice or there's something out there that everybody's thinking the Cup is going to throw a pass. So over 2.5 quarterbacks to throw a pass is.
Now the question is that will there be a flea flicker? So however that play develops, it might not be a flea flicker, I guess. Well, no, because then flea flicker's got to go back to the quarterback, I guess.
Yeah,
but...
so now what happens if there's a flea flicker that doesn't get thrown? You know how sometimes it gets botched.
Well, it's not a pass.
I don't think it counts because then it's like it's a rush.
But now
so
it acts also like that. You have to be right that they call the play. Then the play has to work how it's designed.
Right.
You know, sometimes they keep it's just.
Well, also a quarterback could get knocked out for a series, or if it's a blowout, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the completed pass.
That's right. The pass attempts. Yeah.
Not even completed, to throw it.
No, to throw it. Yeah, that was what's it? 2.5.
2.5. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what is it? Last year, Pickett threw a pass for the Eagles. He was 0 for 1 last year.
Oh, because he came in at the end of the game.
Correct.
Right.
So that hit.
Yeah. Or you get something like they botched the snap on a field goal and the holder throws it or something.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
yeah.
But that's another.
There's ways to get that.
one.
I forget. I'm looking for that now. I don't know why. That should be easier to.
Well, I saw they had like
San Fran threw one the year before.
Well, they have. I saw ones that is like, will a non-quarterback throw a touchdown, like stuff like that, which is different, obviously.
Yeah.
And that those odds are heavier.
Juwan Jennings threw a pass the year before.
Yeah.
So last 2 years, it's gone over.
Yeah.
2.5.
Yeah.
And then the Eagles played the Chiefs. I don't know if anybody else threw a pass that year.
That I don't know.
I don't believe so.
No.
I don't remember. Yeah.
But obviously Nick Foles touchdown, like, you know, I mean, there's so many. I mean, that one had 2, and Tom Brady almost caught a pass.
Right.
Like,
Right. Yeah.
That was 3.5, guys. But
yeah.
All right. Wrap this up. Episode of 193. We will be doing a show next week, I believe, and then we're going to take a break the following week. Just a heads up, we are going to stop streaming or whatever you want to call it. Not streaming, I guess. The audio portion will not going to be available on Apple and iTunes, whatever. It's only going to be YouTube only in a couple weeks, so we'll remind you. So if you are a listener who doesn't watch it on YouTube or listen on YouTube, prepare that we are going to be off, in the next 2 weeks. So maybe get used to watching us or listening to us on the YouTube channel. All right. Episode 193, Broad Street. Also have a great night.